My dad was a force to be reckoned with and very much an inspiration for me today. Being back in this building is really difficult, but amazing, and a full circle all at the same time.
This is a part that doesn't really get talked about too much, and I think is part of the growth. This kind of no man's land of like free fall. Like you feel really unsettled. You feel out of body. You lose yourself sometimes.
Coming back to New York, finishing my degree, and then working for really fabulous companies, Gucci, Diesel, Genera, D Squared, and working in different showrooms was a lot of fun.
Talk about this gorgeous business, delicious business that you've created.
I started working with these very different ingredients. Even powdered sugar there is not the same as powdered sugar here. And just adapting and taking the metro to the, like where the Grand Bazaar is, and the little alleys to get the ingredients by myself. And I was able to do that and speak to people in Turkish. And I really just started getting energized again.
You're in New York for 14 years. What are you doing after fashion school?
I've never had more fun building a business that really ignites me.
And you said something earlier that your family taught you and instilled in you, if you're gonna do something, you commit and you do it right.
My dad being an immigrant from Sonora, Mexico, and then doing everything that he did right up until his passing was just a really fun show to watch.
Okay, last, you said something, there's a difference between dessert and pastry.
Well, technically pastry is more in regards, like people don't even call cookies pastry, right?
Is it a pastry? Hi everyone, welcome to Empowered with Gina. And today my beautiful guest is Miss Amanda Moreno Erdoğan. Hello, friend.
Hi, how are you?
I am better now that you brought me some sweet treats when you arrived.
They always help. Thank you for having me here. I'm very honored.
I'm so happy that you're here, and especially here in this location, which we will get to in a second. So before we jump in, I always ask my guests 3 adjectives to describe themselves.
Okay. Disciplined, adventurous, and compassionate.
Okay. All right, I love that. Who was Amanda Moreno, the little girl? Where did you grow up? Tell me that in a snapshot.
Wow, one of the youngest of 6. I have a twin, so I say one of the youngest. Big Mexican-American family. Right here, bordering South San Gabriel, Montebello. So I am technically local to this area. And we are a just crazy, big family, sports family, and born and bred from East LA.
Yeah, for sure. Seriously. So you're now an entrepreneur, businesswoman, and you own your businesses. But when you were younger, I always like to ask my guests, what did you dream of becoming? Did you have any idea at that time? And then how important was schooling in your upbringing?
Well, it's funny. I always envisioned myself on a stage, which is funny because things like that make me so uncomfortable.
Same.
But I don't know. I always just wanted to be on a stage or in front of a big audience. That changed as I started to get older, but I just always saw, because my family paved the way, to just have my eyes open for big things. And that was something that always drove me. And in terms of family life and supporting us and education, that was super important to my family. We were a family of 6, but my parents still felt very passionate about Catholic private education for us, and high school and college, the works, and just helping us to pursue our dreams, whatever that meant. That was something that was really important to our family, like do something and do it well, but learn how to do it right.
Absolutely. And so you said sports was a big component of the family. Why? Where did that come from?
I don't even know, to be honest. My dad loved baseball. My mom loved all sports, particularly baseball. Now it's funny because we're a big soccer family. But I think it was more learning teamwork, learning dedication, and honestly, as just a way to keep us all out of trouble. When you have 6 kids, you don't have eyes on all of them all the time. So I think that was one of the biggest things, but they were also our coaches. And so it was a way for them to bond with us in different ways.
Absolutely. So then you get out of, where did you go to college? Tell me how that looked like.
Well, I first started out right here at Loyola Marymount University, and that was right out of high school. And that was mainly because I think I wasn't ready to go to New York yet. I had always dreamed of moving to New York.
Why?
I don't know. Big Apple, I don't know. Stage, I don't even know.
Did you visit it a lot as a child?
No. only once in a RV driving through Harlem at midnight.
What?
Because we were in more upstate New York for baseball. Again, baseball travel opportunities for my brothers. So that was the only real memory I had of New York, is us looking at this RV thinking maybe we shouldn't be here right now. And I don't know, something about New York was always on my mind. So finally, after 2 years at Loyola, I got into the Fashion Institute in New York, which was something I wanted to pursue. And my parents, God bless them, allowed me and helped me to move there.
So there was no pushback, like, why are you going into fashion?
I think initially when I said, I'm going to go interview, can you guys take me to New York? They were like, sure, we'll take you. And they probably never thought I'd get in because I had no experience in fashion. My actual experience in high school and university was in theater. And they took me, and of course I got in, and then it was like, all right, we're going to let her move here. And I did, and I didn't come back for 14 years.
So you lived in New York 14 years. Yeah. Where?
Manhattan, all around. Oh. First stop was 7th Avenue at the Fashion Institute, and that was 2 weeks before 9/11.
Oh my gosh. So you were there?
I was there and looked up, and it was all crazy. Yeah.
I didn't know that.
And that really helped shape, actually, I think, who I am, but also my New York experience, and just being resilient and strong with the community. And at the time, my parents were like, okay, do you want to come back?
I was going to ask, did you come home after 9/11?
I didn't. I said, I don't want to. I said, the energy in the city right now is really amazing. And I want to be a part of it.
Was it because like a coming together?
Yes. And we were standing lining, the West Side Highway with socks and other stuff we could grab from our dorm rooms for the firefighters. And it was just really a crazy, but really, really powerfully moving time. Sad, obviously. My dad, of course, though, since I said I wasn't going to come back, found a way to fly there the minute they opened up international travel or travel period, and allowed him to take a client there to search for a missing family member.
Oh,
so
really?
Yeah.
I didn't know about that either. And so before we continue on your journey, you mentioned your dad. And I think it's so significant to mention his legacy, which you are. Mm-hmm. So your dad was Greg Moreno, the world-renowned attorney here, especially a native of the East Side. And he truly, in my estimation, was the very first legal phenom for a Latino lawyer at the time, and even now. Because after he has since passed, and I don't see any other firm that looks like his and what he was able to create. Yeah. And so just a little background, if we can touch on your dad's career and I know what it means for this community and the legal landscape, but from the daughter's point of view.
My dad was a force to be reckoned with, and very much an inspiration for me today. Being back in this building is really, really difficult, but amazing, and a full circle all at the same time. My dad being an immigrant from Mexico, from Sonora, Mexico, and then doing everything that he did right up until his passing, was just a really fun show to watch, honestly, is what it was. And watching him be a real, part of my language, badass Latino lawyer, fighting for human rights, but particularly those in the Latino community, was something that really lit a fire in me to do the same however I can. He took us to farm workers' rights rallies and just all of these things to really instill in us doing for our community, doing for those that are less fortunate, helping in ways that we can, and also being really, really proud of who we are and where we come from, despite how hard that was for him moving here from Mexico and not being treated so great at first.
How old was he?
He was 4, but when he was one of 8 children, this number 6 in the line, and I think they lived like in a 2-bedroom house. And just their parents, my grandparents, were amazing and really, I think, raised some really strong children, and those led them to follow their heart. And it's funny because my dad was first in the seminary to be a priest.
That's right. I remember that. His story was he started out the seminary and then did not end up there.
I think he was too much of a troublemaker and a rebel rouser. but
and
he's
fun.
still completely devoted to his faith and leading us in the same way. And just leading with heart in everything that he did, whether it was being a lawyer and taking us out of school so we could go in all of his, big courtroom days.
Oh.
And that was so exciting, to watching him in newspapers,
Yes.
because of these big cases that were powerful cases. And then to also just watching him on the fields as our coach, or taking us to Australia because he thought that would be great for my brother's baseball, journey, to putting a batting cage in our backyard so that we could practice more when we came home late from school.
Mm-hmm.
He just, he led with his heart, and he led with love. And that wasn't just in his family. That was outside his family. We often had multiple people coming and going through our home that he wanted to help.
And I went to some of the parties at your home, because your family had notorious parties, and there's so many people. And so when I started, I said, we have a family tie. We're not family, but my parents were very close with your parents.
Yeah.
And I remember my dad just really idolizing your dad. And I know they were buddies, besties. But truly, I started learning about your dad from my dad. And he goes, he's a lawyer and this and that, the other. And so when I was in college and I didn't know what I was doing, I came and interned here at this very building. We're in Montebello, California. This is the office where Greg Moreno started and owned this building. And I started at the time, it was like 2000, opening mail.
Yeah.
And law school wasn't even a consideration at that point. And so at the time, I remember they had just secured the landmark $20 million settlement for one of their clients, which was unheard of. And it's time, because it was against the LAPD that wrongfully shot and crippled one of their clients. And I joined the team right around that time. So I remember it was all over the news. It was such a massive deal. And then from there, he just continued to go on and create all these landmark verdicts and settlements for the community. Yep. Like he was representing the people. And so I just had to acknowledge and highlight that we are standing on his shoulders, truly, and the firm that he created. And again, we're back here in this building because now I'm co-owner of the building. So this is a full circle moment. Yeah. And I'm partners with Umberto Guizar, who
another big family friend of ours.
Another wonderful, the godfather. He is just fabulous and wonderful. And another phenom of our community, a completely incredible justice warrior, wonderful man, wonderful person. And that's, we all know him. And so, and this was my very first place of employment for probably multiple summers in a row, and Christmas and holiday breaks. And again, there was nothing like that. I want people to understand there was nothing like a Latino owned firm that were getting the results that they were getting. And still to this day, there is not. So it still remains, it still stands. And so here we are. Okay, so back to your journey. You're in New York for 14 years. What are you doing after fashion school?
Well, I finished fashion school. Within that time, I also moved to Rome, Italy.
Of course.
To continue my studies and more in the international business zone. What were you wanting to do? Like, what took you to Italy? I wanted to be in the business of fashion, not in designing, but more in marketing, merchandising, not really sales, but just somewhere in the business of it. I loved fashion. I loved being a part of it. And so I moved to Italy, and it was funny. While I loved schooling there, loved everything about living there, I'm going to have to mention this. The one class that I did the most poorly and did not enjoy was international business law. Sorry, Dad. Yes. But the one thing I actually fell in love with most while living there were the pastries, the food. I mean, I gained about 20 pounds living there on gelato and all the beautiful pastries in the pastry shops. And so coming back to New York, finishing my degree, and then working for really fabulous companies, Gucci, Diesel, Genera, D Squared, and working in different showrooms was a lot of fun. But again, in the back of my head was, pastries and things like this. And so in working and finally making a decent salary and living the New York Sex and the City life, which was very much popular at that time, I wanted more. I wanted more passion with my work, and fashion was not doing that for me. So I told my parents, I think I'm going to leave my job. And I want to go back to school to become a chef.
How old were you?
At this time, I think I was 23, 24. And
Did you have a background in cooking at all?
No, zero, except for my mom making cookies like at the local school carnival. And I ate a lot of them, so that's good experience.
Yeah, same.
But I had found a company willing to hire me for their holiday help, and it was actually an Italian specialty food company, and they were based in Brooklyn, and they were willing to hire me with zero experience just because they really needed holiday help. And so they gave me a chance to come work for a day for free, prove myself, and then they hired me. And my boss at the time in fashion was fabulous, and she said, I support you wanting to pursue your dream. Go and do it. If you don't love it, your job is still here when you come.
Wow.
And that was really amazing. And I did that and I loved it, even during the subway strike, and had to walk from the Upper East Side of New York across the Brooklyn Bridge in the dead of winter to get to this job. I still loved it. Went back to the fashion job just so I can continue making money while waiting for school to start. I got into the French Culinary Institute, and then went to school for full time. Did some little jobs, nannying and things like that to still make money. And that kind of led from fashion then to the culinary world. I decided to pursue pastry arts more than savory because I thought, well, maybe at the end of the day, I still want to make dinner and not be exhausted or burnt out from the savory. So let me go into pastry. And pastry is really what ignited the fire in Italy. And then I started, after I graduated, doing what you do and working for free again and internships and all of that. And then worked my way up and became executive pastry chef in restaurants in New York City.
Wait.
And loved every step of it.
Okay. I mean, and you said something earlier that your family taught you and instilled in you, if you're going to do something, you commit and you do it right. And like, I see the through line. Yeah. You did the fashion, you committed, you listened to your intuition and you're like, this isn't feeding my life anymore. It's just like a job, which sounds awful.
It really was.
And you took that, and that, I can't imagine that was easy because like, you're literally pivoting into a brand new unknown.
So much different. No longer are you dressed up with your hair beautiful and people are asking you what brand you're wearing.
You're in the kitchen.
Yeah. And your hair's tied up and you got a headband on and nobody cares what you look like.
Okay. So then tell me ultimately, where did you end up in New York? Exactly. What were you doing and for whom?
I was executive pastry chef at a restaurant, Michael's, on the Upper East Side, fabulous, big media powerhouse restaurant. I got to serve some really big names. One of them, I'll just say it was really fun to make for several years, Barbara Walters' birthday cakes. And we had the likes of, Bill Clinton to Chris Martin of Coldplay to Bette Midler on a regular basis.
And everyone loves you because who doesn't love freaking sweets?
And it was fun. And it was a blast, but it was a lot of grind.
I bet.
But it was a blast.
And how many years did you do that?
I worked there, gosh, I'd have to add it up, but from like internship to, having my own staff, I don't know, maybe 6. I'd have to look at the years.
But it was a time.
It was a time, yeah.
Okay, so you do that, and then how on earth do you end up living in Istanbul, Turkey? Walk me through that.
Yeah, so during that time, I met my now husband. That was over 20 years ago. And he was the first Turkish person I had ever met, the first person from Istanbul who I'd ever met. And, long story short, we're still married. But we ended up, we had a wedding here in Los Angeles while still living in New York. And we had a wedding in Istanbul because his family is all there. So it was really, really cool. And took a long time, though, for us to get our families on board. Really? Big Mexican, Catholic family, Turkish Muslim family. So that took a little bit of maneuvering. But we did our thing, and then eventually my dad's illness brought us back to LA. I wanted to spend some time with him before it was too late, and I got 7 short but wonderful months. So I left my job, I left all that, and at that time we were married, and so that was also the time we were trying to start a family. So it was just kind of a really messy period, and dealing with not being able to start a family right away because things were not cooperating on my end. And so during that time, I wasn't really working, and I was just, grieving, but also I was pregnant when I lost my father. And that was just a big period. But through that, after finally having our second child, after multiple IVFs, so that was a little bit here in LA, we decided to move to Istanbul. And
you already had 1 baby.
I had 2 at this time. So we couldn't move during any of the fertility stuff because we had our doctor here and we were being so careful and safe. And once we had our daughter, we had the talk, well, if you ever do want to move to Turkey so the kids can spend some time with your parents, I said, I'm on board. I don't want to stay there forever, but I'd rather do that while they're little.
Sure.
So that they are not interrupted, during the important years of school. And so we did. My daughter was 11 months old. My son was almost 4. And we moved there. And that was a little nuts and very difficult.
A little nuts and very difficult.
Yes.
And you get up and you just move.
Yeah. We were renting, so we got rid of a whole bunch of stuff and just up and left. And it was very difficult. My family was very nervous. I would never come back.
And then, so you get to Istanbul. What do you do when you land there with these 2 little babies?
Well, I lost my mind a little bit at first, and I lost a lot of myself. It was really difficult because I had built this really amazing mom tribe here in LA. As you know, we do that, and we have our resources of who keeps us sane, people that we're going through the same things with. And then I moved there, and it was just me. It was just me and these 2 little ones. My son, was going to be starting school, but my daughter was very much, I like to call her my barnacle during that time. It was just her and I, and we had our daily walks. We had what we called our Groundhog Day. Our day looked identical each day because we didn't know anybody. We didn't have any friends. My Turkish was not really good. And it was really lonely at first.
Oh.
It was really lonely. My husband went to work every day. And it was really difficult. Not to say, I love Istanbul, and visiting there every single year for, almost 17 years at that point was fabulous. But living there was a whole different, kind of being.
With the babies.
Yeah.
And you're not working, you're not doing pastry, you're not doing fashion, you have no community. And so how long?
And no car. So her and I would just do our stroller walks every day along the seaside.
So how long? Because this is part of it. This is part of when people make a big move, whether it's in their job, their actual move, whatever. This is a part that doesn't really get talked about too much. And I think is part of the growth, this kind of no man's land of like free fall. Like you feel really unsettled. You feel out of body. You lose yourself sometimes. Yeah. Which is, it happens. How long was that? And then how did you start coming to where you needed to be?
So we moved there in January, February, and it was after coming home for the summer. I brought the kids back home by myself to spend some time here for the summer. And then going back in September is when I hit rock bottom. Oh. So that was about 8 months where I was just like, because I was scared to death to go back and have that same feeling of just kind of being depressed and lonely. So that's when I made the conscious decision at that point, September, November, that I've got to turn this around. I've got to turn it around for one, my mental sanity, but I've got to turn it around because I want my kids to have a wonderful experience here. But I also don't want to be that wife that moves to her husband's country and then makes it a sour experience for him or his family. I wasn't going to do that. And that's when I really just started getting really uncomfortable with putting myself out there, whether that was online platforms, any way I could meet people that particularly, I was actively learning Turkish, but meet people that also spoke English, meet people in the neighborhood that possibly had a little one my little one's age. And it was a super awkward time. At that time, I wasn't even really on social media, but I got on every social media outlet and just started meeting people. And that's where I met this amazing community of international women. And I joined groups, International Women of Istanbul and American Women of Istanbul.
Wow.
And then started taking Ubers here and there to meet them on the other side, because we lived on the European side. There's an Asian side. And just to meet whoever I could to build a community with, to build connection with. And that's actually how A Treat Life got officially started.
Okay, so which brings us to one of your current businesses. Mm-hmm. So talk about this gorgeous business, delicious business that you've created. It started in Istanbul.
It did. As executive pastry chef was done, I had been blogging a little bit and doing like super healthy treats here in LA during my fertility struggle. And it was called anti-treats, because that's what my nieces and nephews used to call me. Mm. But in Istanbul, this wonderful community of women from, every country you can think of. And we had some people had limited English, but it was pretty amazing. They found out what I did, what my career was, what my job was. And then they started ordering cakes because they wanted some of those, American buttercream sprinkles type cupcakes. They wanted things that they saw on my pictures. They were like, oh, you can make that. So then they started ordering cakes.
From you in Istanbul.
Yeah.
there. They're all there.
Yes. And so then that's when I started to rebuild a treat life, auntie treats into a treat life. I was like, well, I'm not an auntie anymore. I'm also a mom. So that changed to that. And I started working with these very different ingredients. Even powdered sugar there is not the same as powdered sugar here. And just adapting and taking the metro to the, like where the Grand Bazaar is and the little alleys to get the ingredients by myself and chat. You know, I was able to do that and speak to people in Turkish. And I really just started getting energized again. And it was fun. And I started to feel like myself again.
Jesus.
And I started to be able to immerse myself in the community with the help of these women. They'd be like, okay, I'll go with you on this, you know, adventure looking for the best chocolate or whatever. And I really started to fall in love with living there.
Oh my gosh. Okay. And so you're there. How long? Because now you're not there anymore. Now you're back here.
So we were there, it was almost 3 years total. But what happened was right when I started getting super comfortable and loving it, the pandemic hit.
Oh, shit.
And it shut it all down. Even, you know, my kids were now in this apartment, you know, it's like apartment living, just like in Europe. And they weren't even allowed out of the apartment. Our seaside was down the street at the end of our house and they couldn't even be there. The lockdown was so tight. And so it went from like, yay, this is wonderful, to, oh gosh,
Get back in your house.
yeah, this is hard. And through that, and it looking like it wasn't going to let up, the minute they opened up international travel, my husband's like, we got to get back to LA. He was the one. And I was like,
Really?
But I like it now. Despite, because I was thinking, oh, it's going to change. Things are going to turn around. And he's like, no,
We're
at
outta
least
here.
if we go to the house, they can have the backyard and
Sure.
just run around like little, you know, my daughter was 3, my son was 7.5, and they had a lot of energy. So it wasn't the first flight they opened up, it was the second flight. He's like, let's see the first flight.
Let's see how it goes.
And then we got on that second flight back to LA.
Packed all your stuff.
Packed what we could. Oh, we left a lot of stuff in our apartment. So like my most beautiful shoes, my coats
What do you mean?
were all there. I've since over time have
You
brought a
literally
lot
just like
back.
left it and you're like, we'll figure out how to get
Just
it.
whatever luggages we could take without paying an extra luggage fee. The kids, you know, whatever clothes they
Sure.
weren't going to outgrow within 3 months. And a lot of their toys we left.
And so you get back to Los Angeles. We're obviously in the lockdown here, but it's different because you can go, you have a backyard.
Yes.
You're not stuck in an apartment. And you've been here ever since.
Yeah.
You've been here ever since.
Yeah. We've gone back every single year. His family's there. His mom is there.
But to visit.
Yes.
And so now a treat life is fully established here out of Los Angeles. You are, I know I've ordered from you multiple times and will continue to do so. You made the most gorgeous cake for my mom's birthday, by the way.
Thank you.
You have this business and then another business you've since launched.
Yes. So I love pastries and desserts, and I love how creative it lets me be. I especially love seeing the look on people's faces or hearing how much, you know, this particular wedding cake just was, you know, made their dreams come true, or how much this particular completely sugar-free, the 98-year-old diabetic grandma just loved it. And she had the most beautiful cake. She never thought she would have cake like this. And so that kind of stuff really just, you know, warms my soul inside and out. But, and I became an entrepreneur with a treat life and having a cottage bakery because I didn't want to go back into the grind of a restaurant kitchen, because I wanted to be a completely present mom.
Okay.
I love my kids. I love being able to take them to school and pick them up and just being a part of everything.
Sure.
But now in this last, in 2025 really is when I said, I want even more freedom. I want even more creativity, but creativity to design my life the way I want it. My son, you know, is busy with his sports and things like that. I want to be able to go to Arizona in 3 weeks for his big tournament, back to Arizona in December for another tournament, and not think, you know, shoot, I can't because it's the busiest season, the holiday season.
Okay.
So in that, I became a double entrepreneur and started my own business with a wellness and beauty company with Arbonne. And I was already a big fan of these products. I believe in everything in moderation. So I love sweets, I love decadent desserts, but I also love working out and eating healthy and teaching my kids to do the same. So it was a natural transition. And honestly, I've never had more fun building a business that really ignites me, because not only do I get to do something really fun, meet some really incredible business partners, but I'm also helping and teaching other women to do the same, that they can kind of grab the bull by the horns, and they can be a mom, they can be an entrepreneur. You know all this way too well, that there's no box any of us can fit in. The world is limitless.
No, it really is.
If we just put in a little bit of work, but also if we enjoy the heck out of it while we're doing it, which I think is really important.
Okay. So now you have me thinking about pastries. Okay. What's your favorite pastry? Before we conclude, we need to know this. Top two. Fine. Top two.
Okay. Well, can it be a dessert and not a pastry?
What's the difference?
Well, I can live off of ice cream.
Ice cream.
Before my 40s, every single Saturday night, dinner was a pint of ice cream.
Stop.
Honest to God. I had to wait till the kids go to bed because God forbid they saw me eat an entire pint of ice cream.
Can I have some?
Even in Turkey, we had a special place we'd get it from. That was like my treat the whole week. Oh my God, a Saturday's here.
Stop. Ice cream.
But 40s and perimenopause.
That's not
I've had to change the rules a little bit. But ice cream, I could probably be on a deserted island.
Yeah.
And live off of ice cream. And that was actually my favorite thing to make in the restaurant world.
Ice cream.
Was to just get really creative with these crazy flavors. And then honestly, a chocolate chip cookie. Nothing beats that.
Oh, with sea salt?
Yes.
Must be warm. Don't even bring it to me if it's not warm.
Oh, see, I'm in the minority in that.
Really?
Because I take a warm chocolate chip cookie and I put it in the freezer. Hence the ice cream girl.
That actually terrifies me because my mind just went,
yes.
Like it's gooey.
My family
and you
thinks I'm
open it.
nuts. Yeah, if it's gooey, I'm just putting it in the freezer.
Oh my gosh, no, I don't want to know that. Okay, last, you said something. There's a difference between dessert and pastry.
Well, technically pastry is more in regards, like people don't even call cookies pastry, right?
Is it a pastry?
It's a baked good. As a pastry chef, people more think of like viennoiserie, which falls in the category of croissants and laminated doughs like puff pastry.
Oh.
See, so it's all, there's different.
Keep saying these words, whatever
Cake
it is.
is not even considered pastry.
Cake is not pastry.
A pastry chef makes cake, but the way
Pastry is elevated.
it's just, and it's a little bit more in regards to like a pie crust. That's pastry. It sounds crazy, but yeah.
But there's a distinction.
Yeah.
Fine. Now we know. Amanda, you're just phenomenal. And really, like everything you do, I love that you came here to share this story because you had so many you have so many iterations of your life. And you're just a perfect example of, you're like, intuitively, I'm not feeling it, whether good or bad, and you're going to do something about it because nobody's coming to save me. I'm doing it myself. Basically is what I heard. And you're doing that. And so I admire you. And I'm really inspired by just your tenacity and just, you're going to do it. And you can have that life you want. And so we're going to put Amanda's information below. You're going to follow her. You're going to order from her, and you're going to enjoy everything she provides and creates. And I would love to have you back and learn more about your journey when you have some time.
Such an honor. Thank you so much.
I'm happy you're here, friend. Thank you.
So wonderful to see you.
Bye-bye.